this is Brian from ActiveMelody.com. Well, this week's lesson is a follow-up to last week, and last week, if you'll remember, we learned to play the rhythm to everything we just heard in the intro here. And so if you're wanting to learn that and follow this in sequence, just go to ActiveMelody.com and look for EP047. That's last week's lesson number. So if you're seeing this out of context. This week, however, we're going to learn the lead part, and I wanted to as I'm showing you how to play everything, which I'll do, I'll break it down note for note. I'm going to talk through the minor pentatonic scale and the major pentatonic scale. I'm kind of switching between those two scales. So I'll give you context as to kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I want you to walk away with that piece of knowledge. If you want to download the tablature for this lesson and the jam track that was used, just go to ActiveMelody.com and look for EP048. That's the lesson number for this lesson. One extra thing I should mention is that you can take this week's jam track and you can play last week's rhythm over it. So last week, if you remember, we just learned to play it on acoustic guitar, standalone, no jam track. This week you actually have a new way to practice that. So check that out. So let's go ahead and take a look at this lesson. Alright, so real quick before we get started, I know some of you guys are a lot more advanced than others, and so that's always the challenge in putting these lessons out. I try and cover all the bases that I can. But I always like to dumb these down to the lowest common denominator, and maybe that sounds negative. I don't mean it that way. But I like to assume nothing, assume you don't know anything. So people that are very new to playing can watch these lessons and can really pick it up and start to learn how to do this stuff. So for those of you that want me to talk less and just sort of play, I do have a version, and I'm doing that for all lessons now going forward. So if you go to Active Melody and just look for the EP048, you'll see that I've got a walkthrough version, and that's just me playing it without doing any talking. So just check that out. You do have to be a premium member for that, but premium membership is very affordable, and so check that out if that's of interest. Now, the first thing that I play here. And by the way, I think of this solo as kind of a song. I think of all solos as songs. They kind of have their own little intros and verses and choruses. And so when I'm playing this, and the rhythm is going, kind of just over and over again, I think of that as the intro. So you're building up to something, right? And you're not there yet. And so when I was writing this part, I was playing along with the jam track, and I went. I was just kind of noodling around, and when I listened to that back, I thought I'm going to keep that, even though I was just kind of in all of this. You're kind of making it up as you go when you're playing a solo usually, but I thought that it sounded unpolished in a kind of a cool way, and sometimes being unpolished is actually a good thing. I don't like solos that sound really, really thought out. And unfortunately, for a lot of the ones I teach you, they do end up sounding a little more thought out than I would normally play if I were playing live. And that's just because I have to create tablature and jam tracks. And by the time you do all that, it becomes a science and not an art to some extent. I don't want to, but it takes some of I think it takes a little bit of the soul out of it, just a little bit, but I try and keep as much as I can in. So anyway, we start this thing, see how I ramble, we start this thing in the major pentatonic scale. Now, some of you are going, where is that? What is that? And why would you start with the major pentatonic scale? Well, the reason I'm starting with a major pentatonic scale is I'm just going off the sound. My first cue is... Sounds kind of happy, sounds kind of country western. It has kind of that kind of a vibe. So I wouldn't just start that. I wouldn't start a real happy sounding strum like that with something that sounds real sad. So and what I just did there was it played in the minor pentatonic scale. So the minor pentatonic scale gives you that real bluesy thing, and then in the major pentatonic scale, you're kind of playing like the Allman Brothers. You get the real happy sound. And that's the difference. It's a different mood. So when I heard that, the little intro, it sounded happy. Now, so that's the why. Now, the how, meaning how do you do the major pentatonic scale? Where do I even find that? Well, for those of you that are, again, familiar, I hate to keep plugging this, but it's just the best way to reference it. The blues lead course at activemelody.com, I go into detail about root fret and the pattern 1 and 2 and 3 and so forth. So we're playing in the key of D. So our root fret in D, and remember your root fret is where your bar, if you're playing a bar chord, it's where your bar would be. So your root would be here on the 10th fret. So if that's the 10th fret, now I know where my pattern 1 is, so I can go right to the minor pentatonic scale, which is all those notes that were hitting the 10th fret there. Now, if we want to find the major pentatonic scale, all we do is shift everything down this direction 3 frets, and that works that always works, no matter what key you're in or what style you're playing. You can always get to the happy sound by going this way. So we're going to shift 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to play that same pattern, but I'm going to play it here. And you'll see that it has a major and a happy sound. Now there's one exception. When I was playing one of these, there's actually a couple of exceptions. There's not just one, but one of the notes that's different would be that note. So you wouldn't find that if you're, and don't get caught up on the fret number. Just think of the shape or the pattern. So you wouldn't use this in the pattern if you're playing the blues, the minor pentatonic. See, that would be that pattern. It doesn't work, but it does work in major. So that's just one difference. All right, now, and for the most part, they're pretty much the same. You can always just kind of jump back and forth, and just remember that. Now, the first thing that I played was that little thing. And what I'm doing is I'm starting on, and so you'll see now, hopefully that'll, at least a light bulb goes off in your head and you go, oh, okay, I'm seeing the boundaries now, the major pentatonic scale, why he's going. Because it's the same thing as if I shifted up 3 frets. Hear how it sounds bluesy in context? And you can see those are part of that pattern 1. So, all right, I'm starting on the 7th fret, 4th string, and I do a hammer-on to the 9th fret on the 4th string, and then I come up and play the 7th fret, 3rd string. That's the first thing I did. Kind of Allman Brothers-y sounding, some Dickie Betts might do. Now, after that, the second time through I went, and that's really simple. It's just it's played on the 4th string. So 4th string, 7th fret. I'm going to hammer onto the 4th string, 9th fret. And then I'm back to the 7th fret. And then I ended with just doing a quick little hammer onto the 9th fret. So it sounds like this. Slowly it sounds like this. Okay. And then the last time through I went, and for that I just came down, I started on the 9th fret 5th string, slid down to the 7th fret 5th string. As soon as I hit that I slide, like that. And I'm doing that with my ring finger, by the way. Boy, I'm sloppy tonight. And then I come down to the 5th fret 5th string. So all together we have. So then we come to what I would think of as the verse. So everything that we just played was the intro. Now the verse is the part where the guitar, the rhythm part goes. I think of that as almost like you're singing now from a rhythm standpoint. So there's a little bit of overlap in that the rhythm part is kind of doing a little bit of a lead, and now I'm going to play a single string lead thing on top of that. But it sounds kind of cool when you hear the two parts together, because it really sounds. I keep going back to the Allman Brothers, but it sounds like something you would hear there. So the what I played from a lead perspective was. And all I'm doing there is it's actually played on one string. I'm jumping back and forth between 2 frets, but I'm starting here on the 9th fret, 3rd string, and I do a full bend. And notice when I'm bending, I'm using 2 fingers. I'm using, even though this is where the bend is, or that's the fret, I'll go ahead and put my middle finger down on the right behind it on the string. So now I'm pushing that string with 2 fingers. It's a lot easier than trying to do it with 1. So, and remember, when you're doing a full bend, you're trying to match the note that's 2 frets higher from where you started. So that's what we're trying to hit. And the only way you're going to get there is by your ear. There's nothing to lock you in like a fret. A fret locks you in when you're doing a bend. It's muscle memory and ear, and that's it. That's all you got. So if you fall flat, it doesn't sound quite as good. If you go too far, it sounds kind of sharp. So anyway, just practice that. And the challenge is going to be doing this, where you go up and then release it, and then back up and then release it. So, and that second time, or that third time through, I did a up, release, and then pull off like this. See, I'm just picking it once. So that's the third time through. So the first time goes, second time through goes, third time through goes. And then after that I went just a hammer on between the 7th fret and the 9th fret. And then coming back to the 7th fret, third string. Alright, so again, that was played in the major pentatonic scale. So after that, I come down and play. Now that has a very minor pentatonic bluesy feel to it. And the reason that I switched to a kind of a sad feel was when you're listening to the rhythm, it switches to, and that had a sad kind of dark feel to it to me. And so that's why I thought it made sense at that point to go and kind of match what I'm doing with the lead part by switching to the minor pentatonic scale and getting a sadder sound. Now I wouldn't have to. I could have stayed major the whole time through this whole thing, and it would have worked. But and I could do whatever I could. But I just thought I wanted to kind of match it up. So now I'm in pattern 4. So as a reference for those of you that are wondering where I'm at, remember the patterns repeat when you're learning to play a pattern in whether the major pentatonic scale or the minor pentatonic. So if you start here at pattern 1, you have pattern 2, and you go on up and up and up. Well, obviously the notes repeat themselves after a while, and so what you end up doing is you come down here to find the other patterns. So every 12 frets is an octave. So just think of it that way. So once you get to this fret, the 13th fret, it's the same as playing the 1st fret, just an octave difference. So we go down to pattern 4 here for that little bluesy run. Now here's how I'm playing it. I'm on the 5th fret, 3rd string, and then I come down to the 7th fret, 4th string, back to the 5th fret, 3rd string. Then I'm going to go to the 7th fret, 4th string, and as soon as I play this, I'm going to slide immediately down to the 5th fret. So that's on the 4th string. So we go. So let's back up and do that. We have. Then I'm going to come to the 3rd fret on the 4th string, and then the 5th fret, 5th string, and play that twice. Like that. So slowly it sounds like this. One other little little nuance that I should point out is when I hit that 3rd fret 4th string, I push it slightly sharp, as opposed to just going. You can hear it. It just gives it another little bluesy edge to do that. So up to this point we have now the second time through. Now I come back and I play I'm right back into the major pentatonic scale. Second time through I went. And for that, I love that sound. I'm going to start here on the 9th fret 3rd string, do a full bend, then I'm going to come up to the 7th fret 2nd string, so I'm matching that note. Here also the same note. Then I'm going to come to the 8th fret 2nd string, and then I'm going to take both of these fingers and I'm going to do a full bend here starting on the 8th fret 2nd string. Here I'm matching that note. And then I'm going to release it back to the 7th fret on the 2nd string. Back to the 9th fret on the 3rd string. And then the 7th fret on the 3rd string. So slowly it sounds like this. Doesn't this sound nice? And with the right hand picking, it's pretty basic. It's just alternate picking. Always try and do it's very easy when you're first learning to play this stuff to just do downstrokes for everything. And that's because it feels more accurate in the beginning. But the problem is you're going to really slow down your playing if you stick to that. So anytime you have an opportunity to do an upstroke after a follow-up to follow up a downstroke, always do it. Always take advantage of. You got to bring your hand up anyway, right? So you might as well hit a string on your way up. Be more efficient. Okay. Then we have. Now after that I went. And again, we're back down to the minor pentatonic scale at this point. And I'm starting here on the 5th fret 3rd string. And I'm going to do a hammer on to the 7th fret 3rd string. So we have. Then I'm back to the 5th fret 3rd string. Now I'm going to put my ring finger on the 7th fret 4th string. And as soon as I play that, I'm going to slide immediately down to the 5th fret 4th string like this. Then I'm going to come down and play the 3rd fret 4th string. So we have. And then I'm going to play the 5th fret 5th string. Now I'm going to do a hammer on between the 3rd fret and the 5th fret on the 4th string like this. Hear that hammer on? And then the last note is the 3rd fret 4th string like this. Then the song goes to what I think of it. So everything up to that point, so we had the intro, and what we just played was the verse. Now I think of these little stops as the chorus. And for that, I go back to the major pentatonic scale. So you can see I'm just kind of jumping back and forth between major and minor. And now I go to the third string on the 7th fret. So I start on the 7th fret 3rd string, and then I slide up to the 9th fret 3rd string. And when I do that, I play that with some vibrato, and I let that note ring as long as it will. And that just takes practice, the whole vibrato thing. So then the song, the song plays on, and the next point that I jump in is when I come up here, and I get right into the blues, and I go. And for that, and actually for the rest of the song, for the rest of this little solo part, I stay in the blues scale because I just think it sounds. Now that you've established it, you're in it in a big way by hitting that one note, and I love that. It just sounds so bluesy to slide in like that. But so I stay in the blues, for the rest of it. So what I'm doing for that is I'm on the 13th fret 2nd string. That's where I start, but as soon as I hit it, I slide up to the 15th fret on the 2nd string. Then I come back and I play the 13th fret 2nd string. Then I put my middle finger on the 14th fret 3rd string, and as soon as I play it, I'm going to slide it down to the 12th fret on the 3rd string. So what we have thus far is we have then I come down and play the 10th fret 3rd string, 12th fret 4th string. So we have after that, I do a hammer-on between the 10th fret and the 12th fret on the 3rd string. So it's just a hammer-on, play the 12th fret, and then play the 10th fret 3rd string like this. So altogether, we have slowly, it sounds like this. Okay, then we have 2 more stops, and this time I go. So I stay in the minor pentatonic scale. Remember the first time we went. But this time I go. Right there in the middle of pattern 1. So, and for that I'm just playing the 10th fret 3rd string and a hammering onto the 12th fret 3rd string. Okay, now, one thing I should mention is timing is going to be probably one of your biggest challenges because there's a lot of open space in this solo, more than most really of the ones that I've created. Usually, most of these solos kind of they work. You can even play them without hearing a backing track. This is not the case for that. You really have to kind of practice the timing. So watch. So download the jam track. Definitely the best way to practice. Watch the intro video a couple of times just to get the feel for it, and then just practice getting that timing down. Now, so then we have. Now after that, I went and played. Love that lick. And what I'm doing there is I'm going to the 13th fret 2nd string with my ring finger. Notice how I'm already in position. I've already got my pointer finger down on the 10th fret 2nd string because I'm right. And the reason I'm doing that is because I know I'm in that pattern 1 of the minor pentatonic scale. So I just intuitively know if I'm going to play this note, I've already got this one back here ready to do something. So once you get really comfortable with these scales, you'll find your fingers doing that. So I start here on the 13th fret 2nd string with my ring finger. Then I take my middle finger, which is already in place on the 12th fret 2nd string, and I play that note, I bend it so that I match the note that I just played, which is kind of odd. So you can hear it. So I'm not doing a full bend on that 12th fret, I'm just doing a half bend. Then I release the tension and just play the 12th fret 2nd string. So we have. Then I come down here and play the 10th fret 2nd string. So just practice that part over and over again until you get it. Then I come down and play the 12th fret 3rd string. Then I come back up to the 10th fret 2nd string. Now this time I'm going to go ahead and bar the first 3 strings on the 10th fret, because the next note I'm going to play is the 10th fret 3rd string. So that's the 10th fret 2nd string. And then I'm going to play the 10th fret 3rd string. So let me do that slowly. Hear how those two are both on the 10th fret? And after that I come down and play the 4th string on the 12th fret. And that's what you're trying to go for from a timing perspective. Watch my fingers slowly. So that one may take a little bit of practice to get it fluid, but again, just listen to the timing and try and get the timing right. So then we have this pretty standard sounding blues lick, which goes. And for that, I'm going to start by barring the first 2 strings on the 10th fret with my pointer finger. Then I'm going to take my ring finger down here on the 12th fret 3rd string, and I'm going to do a full bend, keeping these 2 strings barred because you're going to play them right away. After you do that full bend, and you'll feel like to try and get that right, you're going to squeeze a little bit with your hand to be able to keep this barred and do that bend. And another thing is, when I'm bending, I'm using 2 fingers. I'm using both of those fingers to help push that. So after you bend it, you come up here and play the 10th fret 2nd string. Then you play the 10th fret 1st string. Then back to the 10th fret 2nd string. So we have. Then I take my ring finger and I come down to the 13th fret 2nd string and I do a full bend. Notice that you're matching the note that you had just previously played. So altogether you have. Actually, it's not the note that you previously played, it's 2 notes back. So it's that note. Now after you bend that up and do a full bend there, you're going to come up and play the 10th fret 1st string, it's a match of that same note that you had just bent. Then come down and play the 13th fret 2nd string. Let me back up. What we have thus far is. Let me do it slowly. Now after that, then I'm going to take my middle finger and I'm going to go to the 12th fret 3rd string and do a full bend and a release on the 12th fret 3rd string there. Then I'm going to come down and play the 10th fret 3rd string. And then with my ring finger I'm going to come down and play the 12th fret 4th string. So all together, that little part, let me do it slowly. getting up to speed, it sounds like. Now after that, then I played. So which is kind of an interesting lick because it's starting off in the minor pentatonic scale. But then I slide down with my middle finger to the major pentatonic scale. And the reason that I did that was because as this track loops, that's the natural way to sort of get back so that when you're practicing this, you can just keep going. So then you could, once the song comes back, you can go right back into that part, which would be the verse. So that's one thing I should mention. When the jam track loops, you won't play that intro part anymore. You'll only play that the first time through. So the first time through, you got so after you do that, you won't need to do that again. Now after that, I had the, and for that I'm borrowing the first 3 strings on the 10th fret, and I'm playing strings 2 and 3, just those 2 strings. And then as soon as I play them, I hammer on with my middle finger. I hammer onto the 11th fret 3rd string, like that. Then, and you can see what I'm playing there. It's just a D chord. So, you got your bar chord. That's all you're doing when you're creating that. So then I take my ring finger and I'm going to bar the first 3 strings on the 12th fret, but I'm only going to play strings 2 and 3. Then I'm going to come back and do that same little lick where I hammer on again. So together they sound like this. And by the way, I use that all the time if you're playing blues. You can do it in any key. It sounds great. So let me do the... Now after that, I'm going to go ahead and slide down right away from the 11th fret to the 9th fret with my middle finger on the 3rd string. Then I'm going to come down and play the 7th fret 3rd string, 9th fret 4th string, and then I'm going to land or end really on the 7th fret 3rd string. So isn't that kind of a nice way to go from something that's sounding pretty bluesy and really almost seamlessly go right back into the major pentatonic scale? So if you're ever looking for, just remember some of these licks, because you'll use that all the time. But if you ever want to kind of a nice little bridge to get you from there to a major pentatonic scale, just remember sliding that down and slide it down 2 frets there to get in position to play pattern 1 in the major pentatonic scale. Alright, so that's really all of the parts. Let me go ahead and play through everything just so you have one more reference of it. And I'll play through it up to tempo. So we have